Hi, it's Bronwyn, Miss B, the Black Couch Therapist, here with another episode of Black Mental Health is Black Health. Well, tonight we're talking about suicide prevention. Not a happy topic, but a necessary topic. We might not think it exists in our community, but it does. Well, you know what we do. We breathe our way in. So before I have my guest introduce herself, we got to do some deep breathing. Are you ready? If you've never been with us before, we breathe in and out 3 deep breaths so we have a chance to kind of get rid of the cares of the day. So I will count to 4 slowly and you'll breathe in slowly. I'll count to 4 again and you'll breathe out slowly. We'll do it 3 times. Let's get started. And I invite my guests to breathe in with us. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out. 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. One more. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Just that moment to allow you to escape the cares of the day and woosah and relax a little bit. How was that breathing for you?
Breathing was great. It helped me to just calm, to center, to get centered as we prepare for today.
Awesome. I'm glad it did. Well, as I said, tonight I have a special guest, Nikki Arashola, and you know how I do. The guest gets to introduce himself. Tell us who you are, what you do. Tell us something cool about yourself.
Okay, my name is Nikki Williams Arashola. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I work for a school district under a grant from SAMHSA, which is called AWARE. And so what I do is I provide therapy in the school setting for students who are most likely not able to receive therapy because we are in a rural area. So due to transportation and location, and just even the availability of individuals to provide therapy in that area. So that is through the SAMHSA grant. One fun fact about me, I've been in education 28 years. I started out as a school teacher 20 plus something years ago. And my therapist, my counselor, my school counselor was Miss B. And so through the years, we have developed a friendship. And I became a school counselor. She was my role model. And then I became a licensed professional counselor. And so that's something fun that is exciting, is that just having a role model show us the way, because previously we really didn't do counseling, we did church. And I was heavily into the church, so that's something fun about me.
Well, I am glad to know that I can inspire you. It's always interesting when somebody says, "You're my role model." Okay, she turned out pretty good. So I am glad to be part of her inspiration. Well, as I said, tonight we're talking about suicide. The last 2 days, she and I attended a training on suicide prevention. It was a suicide symposium. And I've told some people where I was for 2 days, and they were like, "Oh my." But for those therapists, it's like, "Oh my, I got all these new things I hadn't thought about. I can't wait." You think about a client and how you want to work with them. She can think about students. So for us, it wasn't "oh my," it was "oh my, we got some great stuff." So we're gonna jump right in. So Nikki, why do you even think it's important to talk about suicide?
I think that it's important to talk about this topic because, like we say, in our community, we don't do counseling, we do church. And so a lot of times we are not receiving adequate information. We're not receiving the proper or correct information. And so a lot of times we suffer in our community because we don't know. And so if we talk about suicide, we are opening up the conversation and expanding our knowledge.
So true. And one of the things you said was, we don't talk about it. And part of not talking about it is we have so many misconceptions or fallacies about suicide. I just want to kind of go through some. I'll say one and you can tell me what you think. If I mention it and ask if they want to kill themselves, I'm giving them the idea and then they'll go do it.
Well, the reality is if you ask, are you thinking about killing yourself? You are now giving them an avenue to express what's going on, but the fear, the hopelessness, and not being able to talk. You've now opened up an avenue for them to be able to talk. You're now opening up the avenue to problem solve. You're now opening up different options of when they thought that they were hopeless, but looking somebody out on the outside, looking on the inside, are able to give you different options that you may not have even thought about, and help you to not be hopeless.
So true. When you're not planting a seed. If you think somebody is suicidal and you ask, and they say yes, you didn't plant the seed. Mm-hmm. You just started the road. You started the process of getting them some help. Oh, I have another one. If they wanted to do it, they just do it. So I don't know why you're talking about it. What do you have to say about that one?
A lot of times people, it's in their mind and they don't want to do it. They want to survive. They want to stay around, but they need reasons to be able to. They need hope because they're hopeless. They're in a pit. They're in a dark closet. And they need somebody to come into that pit. They need somebody to come into that closet and to help them. So when you do that, you're bringing hope, you're bringing life.
And that goes back to, if you think it's a problem, say it. In our field, we describe suicide different ways. And when we talk about suicide ideation, and what you're describing is just the idea. I'm thinking about it. Now, suicide ideation and suicide with a plan, which we'll talk about, is a little different. But once that idea is there, then it's time to say, oh, no, we got to do something. We've got to help. Mm-hmm. So even at suicide ideation, it's time to say, we need to help and figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. Can you think of any other fallacies?
Black people don't commit suicide.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because Black people don't do that. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Statistically speaking, so not true. As a matter of fact, at one point, the fastest growing group of teens that were committing suicide were African Americans.
Yeah.
And we're still growing. Traditionally, we didn't do it as much, but are we committing suicide? Yes, we are. 37 in 10,000 or 37 in 1,000 are committing suicide.
Something along that.
So yeah, it happens. I could think of one. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, the person who committed suicide, they're just selfish." No, they're not selfish. This is a person who, in the moment, feels hopeless, helpless, and feels that there's nothing they can do to get out of their situation. And they feel like taking their life is the best. At that point, they don't even have the ability to think about somebody else, right? They just, and it's not a selfish, just I'm so consumed with hopelessness that I can't do it. I once heard this quote and I want to share it. It says, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Exactly.
Because whatever you're going through, this too shall pass. Mm-hmm. But suicide, if you're successful, that's permanent.
I want to give two more suicide data. Suicide is the number one cause of death among adolescent girls globally, and that's from the World Health Organization, WHO. And then suicide is the number two cause of death among U.S. 10 to 24-year-olds, and that's the CDC. And so I just wanted to bring that up, that it is a global problem, and it is our young people who are, the numbers are growing.
They're growing. And the fastest age group is between 45 and I think 64.
Yes.
And you would think, and these are people who have, life gets stressful and it's hard for them to really manage. So at that point, But then, if you are in a family that someone has committed suicide, that could be another risk factor for someone younger. Um, wow. What about signs? We can talk about suicide and we see all the fallacies. We think that, oh, this can happen, and those things just aren't true. So, what about signs? How do I know if somebody's suicidal?
If you start seeing individuals who are withdrawing and self-isolating and getting by themselves, that can be a concern. That can be a true concern.
Right, especially if they've been outgoing.
Yeah, definitely.
Or here's another one. We'll just kind of back and forth tell you a few signs. Here's another one. If someone is expressing extreme hopelessness, helplessness, sadness, and their demeanor changed, and they are talking about, I don't think I want to be here anymore. Life's not worth living. I just can't do this anymore. I'm tired. Listen to the things and listen how they say it. Those can be some. Can you think of another one?
Sudden and dramatic mood changes. So, say for instance, a person has been going through and they've been depressed and they've been quiet and then they've been down, but then all of a sudden they're happy and they're euphoric. That is a sign of concern because they've made up their mind how to bring a permanent solution to a temporary problem, which is through suicide.
It's right. So often, we see someone who's been depressed for a long time, and then one day they're just happy, 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 and you're like, oh wow, they're all better. And then the common when people think is that same person who's happy, 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 they start giving things to people. I just want you to have this. Well, that's so important to you. I know, but it's just things. I don't want to be caught up in things. And they're saying with a smile, that might not be a good thing.
Exactly. And when you individuals start preparing, and it's out of will preparation, who's going to take care of the kids, and there's no logical reason for that, you need to be concerned.
Yes. If you know someone who has already expressed that helplessness, that hopelessness, and then they start sending you messages, like a text message. If you get a text message where somebody just says, love you, glad you were in my life, and they're saying that past tense, glad you were in my life.
Yes, exactly.
They're speaking about themselves and their relationship with you in the past tense. That's an issue. And if it's all out of the blue, just wanted to say I love you. Yeah, people might do that. But if this is somebody who's depressed, pick up the phone and call them right then and there. Because if they've never done that before, and they are feeling helpless and hopeless, that's the time to check it out and say, let me see what's going on with them.
Exactly. And self-harming behaviors, especially one of the keys to looking for self-harming behavior is if they start wearing long sleeves, if they're used to wearing short sleeves, they're hiding where they're cutting themselves. And so that is a sign, because what you'll see or hear is that I'm cutting myself because I want to release the pain, or I would rather feel the pain of this cut than to feel the pain that's going on in my brain, in my mind.
And not all self-harm leads to suicide, but self-harm is an issue in and of itself.
Yes.
We may have to come back and do a whole issue just about understanding self-harm.
Yes.
And that's for you who will be specific. That's those who are cutters, those who can headbang or can pinch and pull their skin enough to draw blood. It is purposely harming yourself. That doesn't always lead to suicide behavior, but it can.
Yeah.
When you said that, it was one I thought about when we were talking about just the getting rid of the pain. I'll think again. Do you have another one? Any more you can think of?
Reckless behaviors.
That was the one. Yeah, I'll let you talk about that first.
Okay. So some reckless behaviors. If people have been even killed, and then all of a sudden they are now using drugs, or they're now using alcohol, or have become driving recklessly, getting into accidents and different things as far as that's concerned, that's a change and the
Mhm.
behavior and putting themselves in self-harm, in the
Mhm.
way of harm.
And purposely doing it,
Yes.
okay doing it. Or somebody who wasn't clumsy and they're starting to, they're, oh, I was on top of the ladder and I fell. Why were you on top of the ladder? Didn't even have a reason. I was just checking something out. But, and this hasn't been a behavior that they have, just doing things that maybe out of the ordinary or ordinary things that tend to cause them to become hurt. So there's so many things. And I think the key is when you begin to see a change in behavior that's not helpful, but and harmful, watch out and just wonder, is something going on? Don't just wonder or take it back. Ask, are you okay? Are you trying to hurt yourself? Do you want to kill yourself? No one wants to use those words, but asking can save their life. As we said earlier, it's a fallacy that, oh, if I mention it, I'm going to give them the idea. No, you're not. Maybe they just need you to ask and say, is everything okay? Because it's not. Any other fallacies before we move on? Anything else you can think of?
No, then
I mean, not fallacies, any other signs?
warning sign. Okay, 'cause I was thinking, I was like, okay. Loss of interest or enjoyment, anxiety, irritability, aggression. Those are signs as well.
Yes. When you think about it, we talked about how a person who is suicidal is helpless and hopeless. And anger, in and of itself, is an emotion that happens because something else is going on. And we act in anger because we can't deal with what's inside. And even those negative emotions we feel that are causing us to feel helpless and hopeless can look like anger. So now we've told you some of the truths of it. We've told you some of the warning signs. So now what? Now you might be thinking, it could be someone out there thinking, man, this is somebody I know. Or it could be someone thinking, this is me. Maybe I should talk to somebody. So what does talking to somebody look like? Before a couple of weeks ago, we talked about having conversations that are difficult, and we talked about timing. Well, how do you think timing plays into this?
There's always a place and a time to talk about something. I wouldn't ask, are you thinking about committing suicide at a football game?
Yeah.
In the middle of a football game. And
or any public place for that matter.
Exactly. Any public place. That's correct. So choosing the right place, choosing the right time, choosing the opportunity. Now, if it's a crisis, that's different.
Right.
But you still pull a person aside. You're not asking them in front of a group or a crowd. You want to give them some privacy. You want to be confidential. You want to give the respect to that individual. So you got to choose the right time and the right place to hold that conversation.
And it's going to be a one-on-one or two-on-one. Maybe it's parents. And you want to talk to your child. If that child is closer to one than the other, maybe the parent who is closest to the child might need to lead that conversation. Or if it's your friend of yours, probably wouldn't call them on the phone. You're not been worried about you. Are you suicidal? Unless you've already had that conversation. But the first conversation, I would say, would need to be in person.
Yes.
And you want to ask, and you're out of genuine concern. And that's how your tone would be. Because I'm concerned. I don't want you to go. So I am asking you, what's going on? What else about talking to them? Because it's a difficult conversation.
So when you just said expressing concern and care through calm, active listening. Don't ask the question and not wait for the answer. I was just asking. I mean, but no, I want to listen. And so tell me what's going on. Tell me, how is it going on? And we have to really look at people's body language. We have to look at the nonverbal cues, looking and seeing and understanding. Because a lot of times people don't say things, but they're saying things. And so you have to be aware of it. So that active listening is engaging all senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you even smell? Because when we're talking about drugs and we're talking about alcohol, you're smelling and stuff. And so you have to be engaged when asking that question.
Even smells. Sometimes a person who is helpless, hopeless, they give up taking care of themselves.
They do.
And that means that could be body odor because you haven't had a bath in quite a while because you just don't care. And it may sound funny, but that's part of that. It's like, oh, your hair looks off. What is wrong? Maybe you're on the phone with them and you listen to that tone. One of the things they talked about at the conference, because they were looking at studies and things, one of the studies, one of the speakers talked about the importance of listening is that if you listen and just really engage the person who is contemplating suicide, they're going to engage with you because a lot of times they just want and need to be heard. So how important it is just to listen. I'm listening. I hear you. I get it. Think about how much you want to be heard. Don't you want people to hear you even when you're not suicidal, but I want to be heard?
I do.
And if I'm having a bad day, I really need you to just listen. And maybe I don't need you to say a thing. Can you just listen?
And if you do, please don't be judgmental.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I don't even need any advice. Now, if someone is suicidal and they tell you they are, what should you do? If they are, well, let's back up. Let's go back to suicide ideation, suicide with a plan, suicide without a plan. So I already told you with suicide ideation, that's where it starts. I have the thought, I want to kill myself. I'm really, really thinking about it. But then the next question is the plan. Tell them about that.
So one of the things that I use in my practice is the Columbia Lighthouse Project, and I'll go through, and so it'll ask questions like, have you wished you were dead or wished you could go to sleep and not wake up?
And when you hear it, you're not going to rush through these questions.
Nope.
And even that one you would break down. Have you
wished you were dead?
And stop. Rather than have you wish you were dead or wish you could go to sleep and not wake up. That's really two questions. My recommendation for something like that would be, have you ever wished you were dead? I don't know. Have you ever wished you could go to sleep and not wake up? Well, yeah. So you see how it's about listening. And then if they say, yeah, do you go to the next question? No. The follow-up to that is, well, tell me about that. So that's where that listening, these are not yes, no questions. You want to know, tell me more. Oh, you really have? Oh. How often do you think that? When was the last time you thought that? Then you might move on. What's the next one?
Have you actually had any thoughts of killing yourself?
And give them time to answer. Don't rush it.
And if they say yes, then you proceed on. And it says, have you been thinking about how you might do this?
And this is what we call a plan. You know, first the person, they have the idea. Do you have a plan?
Have you had these thoughts and had some intention of acting on them?
That's intent. I have a plan. I have an idea. I have a plan. I intend to carry out my plan.
As opposed to, I have the thoughts, but I definitely would not do anything about them.
And even though they say, I'm not thinking about it, you already had a plan, you already had a thought, you need to watch out for this person.
Have you started to work out or worked out the details of how to kill yourself? Did you intend to carry out this plan?
So that's your intent with a plan. So first we look at suicide ideation. I got an idea. I have a plan. I have intent. And the last one is I have means. By that, because you're going to ask them, well, how would you do it? And in that, how would you do it? What is their plan? How are you going to carry it out? So if somebody would say, I've been thinking about this, and there's a gun in the shelf in the hall closet. I know it's there, and I know where the key is. It's locked, but I know where the key is. Now, if someone has that much detail and specificity, it's a problem.
Mhm.
And you would seek help immediately. You wouldn't want to leave it at that. Believe it or not, we only have about 4 minutes left.
What?
I know. So
Encourage professional help.
yes. And that is the thing. So tonight is all about the reality of suicide. The reality is our teens are killing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Our middle-aged people are killing themselves. Our seniors are even killing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's a drop between the 60s and 70s, and about mid-70s, it goes up again when you look at the age curve. So at any age, someone could be at risk for suicide. We've given you some ways to have that conversation. That's a real conversation that has to happen. It's probably one of the hardest conversations you'd ever have. Can you give us some encouragement about how would you have that conversation in the last few minutes?
I think that it's important that you know people, you watch them, and not everybody can have this conversation. First of all, so you have to determine if you are the right person, and if you're not the right person, finding somebody, the right person to have that conversation. And a lot of times I do youth mental health first aid, and we're training people, and they're like, I wouldn't be able to do that. So understanding, if you couldn't, who can?
Yes.
Who can you contact? And then the other thing is even just within ourselves, be encouraged. You have a future. The future is bright. And just because you can't find an answer today does not mean that the answer will not come.
Yeah.
That it's around the corner. There used to be a poem, and I can't even remember it now, but it used to be a poem that talked about just right before you were going to give up, or just when you were getting ready to give up, the answer was around the corner. So I'm telling you, the answer is around the corner. Don't give up. Seek help. Talk to somebody. We have 988, which is a national hotline. You can call 988 and there will be someone there to talk to you. And then they can also connect you to local services. If you're a veteran, there's 988, and then you press 1. As a veteran, there's 9888. And if you are part of the LGBTQ community, you can be directed to someone that you can talk to. There is hope. There is help.
Thank you. And I ditto what she said and want to repeat that number one more time. 988. Remember that number. Even if you're not totally suicidal, but you're feeling helpless and need some help, that is our line for mental health help. Maybe you're just despondent and depressed. You can still call 988 and they will be able to direct your call. It is primarily for suicide, but if you're I just give up. Now, I don't think I want to kill myself, but I do give up. I do want to give up. That's a line you can call, 988. And as she stated, I'm just reiterating because I think it's so important. They do have a special line for LGBTQ community. They have a special line for veterans. And these are people who are trained. And yes, it is a 24-hour hotline, 24/7. They don't close. Not Christmas, not New Year's, not 4th of July. Whatever day may be a holiday, they're open. And 988 in their answer anywhere in the country, and they can get you in contact with help wherever you are.
Yes.
So it is very important. If you know someone that needs help, don't be afraid to reach out. If it's not you, if you feel like you can't do it, but you're concerned, find someone who can help you. Seek out professionals. You can call a professional and say, I've got my friend is depressed. I don't know what to do. If it's you who's suicidal, feeling like you can't hold on any longer, reach out, get help. Call 988. Find a professional in your area. We're quickly running out of time, and I always want to give our call to action. And my call to action is simple. If it is you who needs help, don't be ashamed and don't be afraid to reach out for help. Reach out, get help. If you know somebody, walk with them, help them get help. And my last point is always the same. Vote, 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 and be an educated voter. The last day to register for this voting cycle is October 7th here in Texas. And don't just vote at the top of the ticket. You need to vote all the way down. If there's a race on that ticket, on your ballot, it affects your life. I am Bronwyn, Ms. B, the Black Couch Therapist, here to help you become a better you. Thank you, Ms. A, for joining us today. We will see you next week for another episode. Bye now.